let's talk about the World Series. For those of you who might have missed it, the Texas Rangers won the World Series 4-1. There you go. The end. Just kidding.
We'll catch you next week.
If you want to go back and learn about games 1 through 3, you can. We did a recap of those games last week. That's probably the best way to go back. We're not going to go back. That's what I'm trying to say. Go watch that other video or listen to the other episode. Okay.
There is a link in the description. Actually, there's going to be something right up here in the corner. You can go if you want to go do that first.
Just because we go bink. Yeah, okay. All right. Game 4, the Rangers won 11-7. And it was not that close. Not even close to that close. The Rangers just came out. I mean, forgive the pun, they came out swinging. Okay.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
It was unbelievable.
So it's funny, Brig. So this was Halloween night. For those of you who may have lost track, yeah. I will never forget this night trick or treating because I was following the game. I wasn't watching the game on my phone because I get in trouble for that, but I was following it for sure, right? Yeah. And we would go to people's houses and like I would hear people like, "Hey, what's the score?" Because people had it on, obviously. And like, "What's the score?" And this lady goes, "I would rather be out there with you. It's far scarier out there than it is in here." Like, what's the score? She's like, "It's 10-0. We're like, "Oh, geez."
Oh, yeah.
And then like I walked like 2 houses down, and I heard this guy talking to his wife. He's like, "Yeah, they're playing right now." She's like, "Well, what's the score?" He's like, "I don't know." I was like, "Stay out here. It's 10-0." He's like, "Oh yeah, I'm not going inside."
Yeah. Well, trick or treating was way more fun for us than it was anybody else in the Phoenix area. So
yeah.
The D-backs scored 6 absolutely garbage runs. And they came in the 8th and 9th innings. So these weren't, it wasn't like a...
Yeah, so it was like a 10-1 game at one point. And then it's like, yeah, okay. And then
for a long time.
The Rangers scored one, went up 11-1.
Yeah.
But then it's like, it was interesting though, because you look at 11-7, you're like, oh man, that was actually pretty close games. Because last time I saw it was 11-5. Right. And so then I was like, well, shoot, were they like cooking in the 9th? No, they weren't.
No.
They had a couple runs come across, but they didn't have anything cooking after that. It was never a threat.
No, because if you don't look at the box score, the way you read this 11-7 is, okay, a couple runs in the first, maybe 3 or 4 between the second and third, and like 5 or a couple more here in the fourth and fifth, and then they respond. And it was not that way.
No, it wasn't. It was the Rangers scored 5 in the third and 5 in the fourth.
Yeah,
and then 1 later,
and then another one.
Yeah,
another insurance run. Just
just in case
happened. I get. Well, it was an accident.
It is crazy to think about though for a minute. So think about this: you've got the game in the bottom of the 9th in Phoenix, right?
Right.
Diamondbacks are at home. How much more different is the dynamic of this game if it's 11-7 than it is 10-7? And I understand, like we said, those runs ended up being meaningless, right? But if it was a 10-7 game. And because the Diamondbacks had a runner on when the game ended, like it might be a little bit closer, a little bit more nervy if it's a 10-7 game instead of an 11-7 game.
I like nervy. That's really good word for it. Yeah,
because I don't want to say threatening, but maybe like, oh, they got the tying run on deck.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I hadn't thought about it that way, but I can see what you mean, and you're not wrong. I think the problem is
one run could have been the demoralizer there at the end. There's just enough to overcome.
Yeah. Huh. Brad, you make a really good point there, my friend.
Well, thank you.
Well, let's move on.
Well, hold on. I mean, because this is a transition segue here.
Yeah.
So
that's what I was going to do. But you can do it.
Okay, I apologize. Because I thought you were going to jump right over it.
No,
because I was thinking the Diamondbacks scored 6 runs between the 8th and the 9th innings.
Yes.
So, I mean, did you have the same thought I did that maybe it's like, well, they're waking up, they could be ready to go game 5, right?
Well, and they're the answer backs, right? So,
right, yes,
that is exactly what I thought. I was like, okay, here we go. They're going to come out swinging, cooking with gas heat in game 5. That's exactly what I thought.
Yeah.
And they got a day off. They get to regroup. They get to recalibrate some things. There's The Rangers might lose a little bit of momentum, which they need to slow down a little bit before they go back to Arlington. Like, there's all this.
Yeah, there was a lot of the mental side of it into coming out of Game 4 and going into Game 5 that I thought we were going to see a shift in the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, I did too.
But we didn't.
Nope.
I mean, Zach Gallen came out, vintage Zach Gallen.
That's true. He pitched really well.
This is the guy we've expected to see in the playoffs, and we did not get.
Not till that day.
Not till he needed it, but then he didn't get any
run
support.
In Game 1, and he didn't. Right. He couldn't bring it.
Yeah, exactly.
We say we need baseball family. We wanted the D-backs to win, or we at least wanted it to go 6 or 7.
I wanted to take a day off of work and go down to a freaking parade break. That's what I wanted to do. I was going to do it.
Did.
I'm very sick.
I got the baseball cough.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not the black lung, it's the black glove. I got the black glove.
The black glove. Yeah. I was going to do it, but terrible joke. Alas, it didn't happen.
Well, Game 5, like you said, Zach Gallen was dealing, and he no-hit the Rangers all the way through 6. And this is what I was looking. I looked over at my people. I'm like, listen, don't you say a word. But and the people in my family right now don't understand what's going on because they're all either new to baseball or short, right? So they're very young people. So I'm doing this. Okay. I'm like grabbing my head and I'm like prancing around and I'm like whispering. They're like, what is
mumbling
wrong
to
with
yourself?
This guy?
Like, Dad's lost his mind.
Yeah. I'm like, shut up. Because I wanted to see a second one. We've only had one perfect game. We've only had one no-hitter. We've had a combined no-hitter in the World Series. The Astros did that. I don't count that one. I'm talking about the lone no-hitter, which happened to be a perfect game. And that's it. I wanted a second one.
Yeah, well, he did lose the perfecto. I think he walked somebody in the fifth or sixth inning, something like that. So he lost the perfecto, but the no was intact. And I thought, and there's no way. Well, I don't know. I don't want to say there's no way. They probably would have left him in. It's the end of this is the last outing of the year. Maybe leave him in and empty the tank, right? But
I think so.
This is the problem I had though, is that the Diamondbacks didn't capitalize on that. Is that he needed one run, of support to get out of there. And like, okay, that was all around offensive, defensive, a good 6 innings, right? But he didn't get the one run that he needed to help push through to the end. And
lift it, yeah.
Yeah, and then the Rangers, and I'm not putting anything on Gallen because he has no control over that. He pitched the game of his life, right?
Totally.
But the offense was flat, and I shouldn't hold him.
Busted.
Right. I shouldn't be too hard on him because it's not like they were facing a slouch. Nathan Eovaldi was pitching.
He was doing great.
Like he does and did throughout the postseason.
For sure. I like Nate a lot.
I know you do. He's your dude. But the Rangers came through and scored 1 run in the 7th.
Yeah.
Which ultimately would have been it. Wow. But they put up 4 in the 9th to seal the deal. And it felt like a team that just the seal had just popped. You know?
Yeah. Like they blew that last gasket right at the end.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah. Like and this is how the last inning went. Single. And that third single ended up the runner advanced to third on an error on Alek Thomas because he just misplayed. It's just the wrong angle in that ball, and it was just like, oh man, that was the end, like the end game right there, right?
Yeah,
but it's like you can't recover from that because there were no outs. Runner on third after that, and then you got a strikeout, got a ground out, and then Marcus Semien hits a 2-run home run, 5-0. Corey Seager hits a little infield dribbler for a single, and then a strikeout.
Puts a lid on it, man. Yeah.
But that was game over, man.
It was. It really was.
Yeah. It was I don't want to say it was an anticlimactic ending.
No,
Um,
I wouldn't say that.
because 1-0 going to the ninth, that's a heck of a game,
Yeah, yeah.
right? But man, to give up 4 in the top of the ninth, it was just like, ugh, we're not going to get a good ending to this game because the D-backs came up and 3 up, 3 down, and that's game over.
Yeah. On some beautiful pitches.
Oh, some great pitches. Yeah, absolutely.
Really wonderful pitches. I mean,
And a
they were.
super heady play by Jonah Heim to go back and grab the ball after he dropped it, go into the
Oh
dog
man,
pile.
dude. That was. I loved that.
He
I
pulled
loved
the
it.
Anthony Rizzo and made sure he got that ball in his pocket.
Yeah, for those of you that don't know, that final pitch, that final strike that punched out the rest of the World Series, right? It was a punch out for the World Series.
It was his
They
KO the
dropped the
Diamondbacks. Yeah.
ball, everybody went bananas, and Jonah Heim stopped himself mid celebration on his way. He was crescendoing into a celebration, and he went back and grabbed the baseball and stuck it in his back pocket. That's what we're talking about. Brilliant. Loved
Yeah.
it.
Mm-hmm. I did.
Here's
I loved it too.
yeah. I mean, what are your overall impressions? And Corey Seager is the World Series MVP. I think we've hit that pretty hard. Super duh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The guy was in almost all of the key moments for the Rangers.
Well,
Like he was at the center of it.
the thing that was crazy about him is that like you and I have joked this year about how like there were times when somebody would be up to bat and I'd just be sitting there and be like, this dude's homering, and then like 1 or 2 pitches later he hits a homer.
Yeah.
That's the way it was with Corey Seager, is that you could
Mm-hmm.
tell when he was going to homer in this series.
Yeah.
Because it's like, okay, the Rangers kind of need one here. Boom. There it is. Every single time.
Clutch, man. He was
Yeah.
the definition of clutch the whole postseason, but especially in the World Series. It was crazy.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, nobody else deserves that more than he does. And the thing that's crazy, this is his second one because he got one with the
Yeah.
Dodgers.
Yeah.
So the too early conversation, Brig, is Corey Seager a Hall of Famer?
Way too early. And very likely, depending on how things go.
I think if he puts up 2 to 3 more years similar to what he did this year, and even
Oh,
last year, because he had a great year last year too,
yeah, he did.
then yeah, absolutely, he's in the Hall of Fame. He's first ballot.
If he can
'Cause
ride this, though, then yes.
yeah,
sure.
because he's gonna get another. If he doesn't get the MVP this year, he'll get it sometime in the next couple of years if he continues on this trajectory. And he could just
Yeah.
like play on this plane. He doesn't have to go up. If he plays on
That's
this
what I mean.
plane,
Yeah, if he even
yeah,
stays, huh?
yeah, with
I'm gonna look
2
up something
World
really
Series
quick.
MVPs to his name. Because the only other guy I think who's done it for more than one team was Reggie Jackson, right?
Yeah, Reggie Jackson's the only guy with 2 World Series MVPs. Uh, Corey Seager also won the Rookie of the Year. I forgot about
Yeah.
that. He has
Mm-hmm.
a career WAR of 32.
How many years has he been playing? Because career WAR is a cumulative stat. How many years has he
Yeah.
been playing?
That's 9. And his WAR this year was 6.9, like we said earlier.
That's
So
pretty good.
that's pretty good.
Yeah. Well,
pretty good.
don't forget too, Brig, that he missed a year because of Tommy John.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that
there's
was
that too.
what, 2018? He 26 games.
Yeah, that would have been that year.
Or yeah, it would have been that year.
I
So,
was concerned. I was concerned that was like going to be the end for him because he's a shortstop.
rightly so. Yeah. Yeah, that
He's
makes a
coming
lot of
back,
sense.
like, so much better. It's insane. So overall, like I said, overall impressions of the World Series. What do you think of the umpires, Brig?
I mean, not great. Like, and when we did our umpire preview, I was worried. And even the guy I felt like I could be confident in, he let me down all the way. Like
Right.
Walcott, he just totally blew it. Yeah, I'm not happy. Are you happy with the umpires?
No, I wasn't. Because it wasn't just like that. It wasn't great. It's that it was inconsistent.
Mm-hmm.
In the World Series, you've got to have a consistent strike zone. It doesn't have to be 100% accurate, but it's got to be consistent. And
That's
that's the key to everything, right? Is
my
that like
thing.
you can't have a backdoor curveball off the plate called a strike, and then 3 pitches later have it called a ball, or 3 innings later have it called a ball, because what are you supposed to do? What's the pitcher
Yeah,
supposed to do? What's the hitter supposed to do?
I have
You've
no
got to be
idea.
consistent. You've got to be consistent with it. And I think that having this caliber of umpire on the biggest stage, on the game's biggest stage, only, I don't want to say solidified, but improved the argument for an automated strike zone.
Yep, it definitely improved the argument,
Hmm.
and that's inevitable too. So, baseball family, if you're against the automated ball strike caller, sorry, man. Like it,
And even
I'm
even if
against
it's
it.
not, this is the thing is, even if it's not every pitch, even if it's
Yeah,
just a challenge system, I think that's better than what we've got right now.
I agree, and I have been against it for a very long time. So you're not alone if you feel that way. But I I do not foresee a world where this does not come.
Yeah.
I just don't see it.
Hmm. And I think we're sooner than we think too.
I do too. Okay, Brad, my question to you is, was this World Series boring?
I hate to say it, but I was bored by it. I thought I was going to be more excited and more into it, and maybe it was because the Rangers won so decisively so many times, right? Up 11-1. That's not an exciting game if you're going for the hometown team that's not in Texas.
Right.
you know?
Right.
And I think too, like there were people who on TikTok commented on, because we talked about the ratings for game 1, how they were way down. And there was
Oh,
somebody on TikTok straight up was just like, nobody cares about the Diamondbacks and Rangers.
yeah.
I think that was a general sentiment that, like Mike Farn said, that
Yeah.
the world's not ready for this World Series. And I think generally speaking, it was not. They didn't come through, and they didn't give us even 6 thrillers. They gave us like 2.
And those two thrillers were great. I mean, they were just awesome.
Hmm. Yeah.
So, I don't think the entire thing was boring, but accumulatively or average or whatever, yeah, it was an
Was it game
underwhelming.
4? Was it game 3 or game 4 where you were just like, you were just straight up like, that was a terrible game. I hope we have another one like
Yeah.
we don't have
I
another one
don't
like that.
I don't remember which one it was, but I was like, that was just terrible.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. And
just
I don't
not
think,
even fun.
and I don't think you have to have the Astros and the Dodgers, the Yankees and the Red Sox, or I guess the Yankees and the Red
No.
Sox aren't going to play, but the Yankees and the Dodgers in the World Series to get an
No.
exciting World Series. You just have
You
to
don't.
have close games with an evenly matched series. And unfortunately, by the time the Diamondbacks got there, they were overmatched. The Rangers were just that much better of a team, top to bottom. And somehow, Brig, what happened? When did the Rangers figure out their bullpen?
Dude,
I kept waiting for it to
oh
implode. I
man.
was like, this is when things are going to get really good and exciting. The D-backs are going to break out and level this series because this Rangers bullpen is going to implode. It was so
Yeah.
bad for
Yeah.
170 games,
Yeah.
and then suddenly they lock it down.
Yeah, and even Scherzer struggled, and it was like, okay,
Yeah,
here's your chance, man. Yeah, I agree with you. The other thing I think that really has nothing to do with like why it was boring. Maybe I'm just upset by the fact that it was, and also this happened. So the Diamondbacks played a lot of small ball, and it when they did it successfully, we had great games.
very
When they
exciting.
were
Yeah,
unable to lay a bunt down or unable to loop together some singles and manufacture runs, that's when the games were boring. And so, like, it's really great to see Adolis Garcia and Corey Seager hit home runs, especially in clutch moments. What is not exciting is how games are won and lost only on the long ball. The, to me, that's where it starts to get boring. Zero
yeah,
zero zero bomb. 0-0-0 2-run bomb. It's
all
like
or nothing. Yeah,
that's the struggle for me. And so I really wanted a team that embraces this small ball mentality, even a little bit, to come through. And when it was working, it was exciting.
right. And that is the problem, right? Is that since it's such a copycat league, that like if the Diamondbacks had won by playing small ball, that you would have seen a correction back to the mean. Like teams would be like, oh, it does work. We can win a World Series playing small ball. Let's go get a guy who can bunt. Let's get some speed guys. Let's go get guys who can string together a bunch of hits. Get some batting average guys. Instead, you're like, nope, the Rangers won it with the long ball. You got to keep hitting homers.
Oh, it just makes me
Let's look
sick,
at OPS
man.
and slugging and how many homers this guy gets. Strikeouts be damned.
Oh, man.
Let's go hit a bunch of homers.
Am I the only one that's grieving that?
Well, it's the problem that baseball has. It's why they went with the bigger bases. It's why they went with the pitch clock, and it's why they made the changes they did. It was because they wanted ban the shift because they wanted to get the game moving again. But the fact that like the Rangers were just like, no, we can hit home runs still, so we're gonna go hit home runs. The Braves all year long, we can still hit home runs. We're gonna hit them, and had the best record in baseball.
Yeah,
and then get eliminated by a team that hits home runs, right?
Yep.
So it is a problem for baseball because it's not easily consumed. It moves slower. Do I love home runs in the moment? Absolutely, I love home runs. They'll break your back celebrating or lamenting them, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, though, like it doesn't make for exciting baseball because they're not stringing together hits and nobody's relying on it. That if you can hit 3 solo home runs in a game, you're probably going to win the game, and then maybe pepper in a 2 or 3 run home run somewhere in there. You'll be fine.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to talk more about this at a different show, but I want to come up with a list of ways Major League Baseball can address the problem because I need to know. So baseball family, let us know in the comments. I have a thought that just came to my mind. If you have a thought that's come to your mind, we need you to jump in the comments and let us know so we can break it down and discuss it.